I've been thinking about the little words in English that carry so much weight and still dealing with a lot of self-doubt. So that's what we're going to talk about in I Should Be Writing Season 18, Episode 17.
Well, I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to I Should Be Writing. This is a podcast for people who want to build a writing career. I call them wannabes. I've been calling them wannabes for quite some time, and now wannabe is kind of getting a negative terminology. But I don't want to change it because this is the tagline for my show for 17 years? 18 years? Yeah. So, my name is Mer Lafferty. I've been doing this since 2005. Podcasting since 2004. This show was born in 2005, and back when I had not sold anything at all, except for some role-playing game source materials, and now I'm a published novelist. I've written a Star Wars novelization. I've been nominated for the Hugo and the Nebula and the Philip K. Dick Award. So this podcast has chronicled my entire career. I don't want to go back to listen to the early ones, but if you guys want to, go for it. You support the Patreon, patreon.com/MightyMer. You can get everything back to episode 1. Don't go back to episode 1, please. Anyway, my pronouns are she, her, and I do this twice a week. Twitch.tv/MightyMer. It's live, and then it gets put in the podcast feed later. So yeah, we're going to get started. I spent the day... It's really weird, because my husband went into the office today, and his company has been supporting him working at home ever since, for the past 2 years. And I'm remembering enjoying having the house to myself, but also no one's here to judge me for playing video games all morning. Not caveat. I've said that before. No, anyway, it's not that I did, and it's not that he ever judged me out loud. It's that, apparently if you put a pair of eyes on a wall, just a drawing of eyes, there's less, on a store wall, there's less shoplifting, because even just the eyes make you feel like you're being watched. So having somebody else here made me more accountable, and so been flailing about a little bit, but I got excellent work done yesterday. I was very happy because, and I think the writers will know what I'm talking about when I say I stopped as a conscious decision. It was not, oh, thank God I made word count. It was not, I have no idea what's coming next, so I have to stop. It's just, it's time to stop. And I knew where I was going, and I was very happy with it. So yeah, I've been working on that. This morning I worked on a lot of admin stuff, and then suddenly it's 3. That's how I roll. But next we go into good news, and I don't think I have any. Some personal good news. I was feeling poorly in certain ways, and I'm not feeling that poorly anymore, which is nice. The trick was calling my doctor. Because you call the doctor, get the appointment, and then you start to feel better. So I've decided if I'm keeping that appointment tomorrow. But I'm just checking my email right now because I'm pretty sure, was there nothing in there? I just really want... Put your good news in the chat while I am looking for stuff, because I love hearing it. And we will keep track of your rejections. If you want to email me later and give me it's the rejections you've gotten. If you're new to this concept, we celebrate rejections here because rejections means you're a working writer. You haven't sold anything yet? No one's paid you yet. But people who don't write and non-working writers don't get rejected. working writers get rejected. So you got rejected. You're a working writer. So you're on your way. So we are counting rejections. And so far in 2022, we have had 44 reported from Team Rejection. So good job, everybody. It's easier to indulge in your vices when you're sure you won't get caught. Exactly. I'm glad you got to sleep, Devo Spice. Devo Spice worked a 13.5-hour workday and a 19-hour workday on Tuesday, and you got to go to bed last night. Wow. 2 more rejections here today from Starry Green. Well done. Yay button on. Reject button on. And other reject button on. Awesome. Congratulations, Starry Green. I know it sucks. I know it hurts. But you're doing the job. And there's somebody out there who's having a day just like yours, only they're going to quit. And you're going on. I'm pretty sure you're going on. So that proves your strength and your resilience, and we here are very proud of you. Well, the dog's sleeping, but I mean everybody in chat. Wow, lots of rejections. Look at all this. Let's see. Sorry. Phased out. Selfish good news. Had a rando drop into my stream earlier. Just found me on Twitch and is now a follower. Just a fan of Grand Theft Horsey. Is that your what you call it, or is that what everybody calls it? I'm curious because I don't know anybody else who's playing Red Dead Redemption right now. Let's see. Underpope got a rejection. Once rejection since Tuesday. Congratulations. I need to get a ding set up to go along with the rejection counter. Hugo Award recommendations are getting noticed by potential nominees. Very cool. I hope they get noticed by potential voters as well, because I'm really hoping to. I didn't realize until I was looking at Twitter how close my cover designer got to Hugo nomination. I believe he was 3 votes away at one point. So I'm really going to be trying to get him on the ballot. Let's see. Christian writing, another rejection. Well done. Join the team. You guys are strong and you're awesome. First time chat from J.M. Ferndy? Jim Ferndy. I'm not saying that wrong. I apologize. Got 4 rejections this year, 1 personal and encouraging. That's fantastic. I'm just going to hit that button 4 times. Okay, yeah. Grand Theft Horsey is Red Dead Redemption. Is it 2? Or is it the MMO? There's an MMO, right? That's 50. We crossed 50, guys. 50. I'm very, very pleased. February. It's February. And we've crossed 50. Amazing. Mr. Joshua Hargis, welcome. Good news, I've hit a 55-day streak since December 31st on my blog, trying to write every day this year. That's amazing. Congratulations. Consistency is good. I try to be careful about consistency talk because I know that there are people out there who, for various reasons, can't be consistent. There are people who get up and have chronic conditions, and it's just like, am I going to have a day without pain so I can write? Am I going to have a day where I don't need to sleep for 17 hours? Those people really get disheartened. I think that's the word. When people say, oh, you have to write every day. But getting into the habit of writing every day, if you can, is like training wheels on your bike. Because when you get into the habit, then you're unlikely to drop it in the future. If you miss a day, it's like, okay, well, I'll just get back tomorrow. It's your habit. But yeah, I don't like absolutes in any way in writing because everybody's different. And the only thing is you got to submit and you got to write and you got to keep going. that's the only thing you absolutely have to do. And I'm not trying to downplay your awesomeness, because I'm trying to write every day too. In fact, I started doing weird, very in-joke Advanced Dungeons and Dragons stuff on my big spreadsheet, which, as I said, I just found a bug in. But I was thinking if I could make, I called it THACO, which is to hit armor class 0, which is like, they didn't want anybody who wasn't really deeply into algebra to play Dungeons and Dragons. You can tell. Although I did notice, if any of you looked at algebra in high school and said, when the hell am I ever going to use this? I found the answer. And the answer is writing RPG games. When I was working on a game that ran on the 3.5 open source rule set that D&D put out, I had to make magical items. And you can't just say this +3 broadsword that has this spell is worth this much money and has this much XP. No, there are formulas for that. Entire formulas that you have to follow. And that's when I had to remember how to do algebra. And now I forgot where I was going. Oh, yeah. So I was trying to do some math on, if I write every day, how many words a day would I have to do to hit the end of March and say I've averaged 1,000 words a day. And then I did the how many words a day to hit my deadline. I'm just having fun learning what functions are in spreadsheets. I know I sound like a 5-year-old learning how to play chopsticks or something, but it is very new to me. Preemie just got a lovely email from an editor inviting you to sub to an anthology. That is the best feeling, is it not? Congrats, Preemie. That's really great. Well deserved, too. Definitely. And yes, good old THACO. Grapple rules, I don't even want to go into grapple rules. I never did grappling, probably because of the grapple rules. Excellent. Okay, I think that's it for good news. That was a lot. Very excited, very happy for everybody. Glad things are going so well. So, I had a friend who went into private coaching for a little while. And she wanted to help me and get me the, friends and family charge and everything. It didn't quite work for me very well. We didn't go very far. I think it's possibly because we were friends and it was hard to... usually when you get advice from friends, it goes into the brain of, do I take it or leave it? I mean, it's well meant, it's well intentioned, but I don't know if I could subconsciously see her as a coach. I know that sounds terrible, but I'm trying to think of why it wasn't working for me, and I think it was because we were friends first. But I remember one time I was saying I should be writing every day, or I should be doing this, or should be doing that, and she's like, that's a terrible word. Don't say should, because that's putting expectation on you, and who says you should do this? And I was kind of like, well, you're removing words from my vocabulary, so I have to come up with different words to say the same thing. And I was being a little ornery, but I was thinking about the fact that I'm very bad with newsletters, and I'm bad with delivering fiction for Patreon supporters. If you are a Patreon supporter who was giving at the fiction level and you've not answered my latest message, please do. I have lots of books in the basement. I would be so happy to send you. And I was thinking about that when I realized I still had not put out my newsletter. And I'm trying to think, I guess trying to psychoanalyze myself and go, why? And I know there's probably an ADHD answer to it. But I think part of it is, and I swear to God, I'm not fishing for comfort or compliments or anything. But I think part of me is saying, no one's going to care. And I think this comes from whenever you make something, and I'm pretty sure that Preemie's still around, and Devo Spice, and a couple other professional creative folks in the audience. Not everything you make is going to be awesome. And sometimes it won't be people giving reviews like this sucked, I hated it. Sometimes it just won't fly. It'll just sit there, and it's like nobody hates it, but nobody loves it, and it, it goes into the background. And when you look at someone's entire body of work, of course you're going to find stuff like that. Douglas Adams hit it big with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but Dirk Gently was more of a niche thing. They're still trying to make dramatizations of Dirk Gently, and they keep failing. That's another story. Because Dirk Gently was not that complex. They've made it a lot more complex. But I don't know. I was just thinking today about the fact that should was a bad word to my friend, but a lot of times I will have ideas of, I could write this audio drama. I could write this interactive fiction. I could write a short story for my Patreon people. And when I get bogged down with that, I realize could's almost as bad as should. Because yeah, I could do all those things. I'm a pretty good writer when I can actually focus and try. But the challenge comes from finding the priority, finding the most important thing. Obviously, the most important thing is my book. I would shutter everything else in my life. I would shutter the streams, I would shutter the podcast before I would quit writing. But I don't have to. I can do more than one thing. But when I get all those options and everything is spread out in front of me and all these things I could do, it's analysis paralysis. I just get stuck. And it just kind of goes hand in hand with the what if you threw a party and no one came? I've got this little bully on my shoulder saying, it's like it's coming in with a shiv to go between my ribs. Because when my bully says, what you wrote was crap, I can look back on the work I've done and say, well, people seem to like that. So this is probably just self-doubt and not based in reality. But then it comes in with the shiv and goes, okay, you can write it and it'll be good, but what if no one cares? And I think that's where it got me. Punctured lung, wheezing, blood bubbles on the lips, all that horribleness. Half the movie of Reservoir Dogs, I mean, we're experiencing it here in my house. Less blood. But that is what I'm feeling like. I'm feeling all the things I could do, trying to figure out the things I should do, wondering if anybody cares. And again, this is all my neuroses. This is not, tell me I'm pretty. So, in opening my newsletter today, I said, sometimes I look at the fact that I've been doing this podcast for coming up on 2 decades. Haven't I said everything I need to say? But if I have, there's still new people all the time. So this might be your first time watching or listening, and you could be thinking, well, when are you going to get to the question of how do I find time to write? And I started this to sort of talk myself through a lot of the neuroses that I had and that I knew other writers had. And in doing so, I sort of worked through a lot of it. So I'm figuring as long as I still have these problems myself, I'm going to be talking about them. Because that's not fixed. And I'm still not sure what to do about the fact that the little no one may care thing. Because that is logical. That could happen. And you know what happens when I do that? I make another thing. That's all that happens, really. I just have to make another thing. I look back on what I've written, and strangely, one of the things that is consistently a favorite is probably before I started publishing professionally. It was one of my, I guess it wasn't more popular than the Afterlife series, but I did a Gladiator Arts patron thing on the moon. Granny Gladiators on the Moon, kind of. One of my earliest murder grannies. And I was so proud of that. And I've had people say they loved it. I've had 2 people who read science fiction and fantasy on their podcast. Alistair Stewart on EA Podcasts and Dr. Pamela Gay. Cosmo Quest, I think, is the URL. I'm going to have to look it up. They both read it. It's self-published. I'm the one who holds all the rights, so that's fine. But it's still like, I kind of feel sad that I don't know if I came out with it at the wrong time. I know I came out with my superhero book at the wrong time. Yeah. Not bitter. Not bitter. Anyway, if you like space and stuff, you'll have to check them out. It's Cosmo Quest, I think. So, yes, Marco, and in the audio version, Diva Spy said the Fump did my narration. CosmoQuest.org, thank you, Tree Lobsters. Should is the most dangerous word. That should work. I should be able to do that. I should be fine. Ouch. And Preemie says, yes, sometimes you make a thing and it just lands in silence. Bye, thing. And as women, we are conditioned young by society not to toot our own horns. Yeah, that's tough. And Devo Spice says, yeah, that's pretty much half my catalog. In terms of publishing a thing as throwing a party and no one coming, I don't mind, provided I got paid in advance. That's true. If you get paid, it's different. And, I'm lucky enough to where I have a core group of followers that even if it lands flat, someone's going to find it and tell me they experienced it. Evil Mur summoned. It's time for Evil Mur. Let's look at bad writing advice number 9. Evil Mur says, friend me on Nintendo so we can both play Animal Crossing for hours and hours and hours every day. Don't listen to Evil Mur. Do friend me on Nintendo, but let's not play Animal Crossing for hours. Evil Mur, no, what about our deadlines? That's why she's evil, Preemie. Alright, we're back. No more evil. I think one of the problems is usually I come up with like here's a problem and here's how I'm going to approach it or fix it or something. And I'm not sure how to do that because I'm still kind of wrestling with it myself. I feel like my brain is trying to make chaos out of anything in my life. And so if I get a couple of things taken care of or ready to handle or whatever, it's still going to look at the smaller list of things I have to do and still go, how am I going to get all this done? I said brains were jerks earlier, only it's not on the recorded podcast, and it was a word I don't say on the podcast, but I think probably I have to do my ideas one at a time. Was chatting with a friend of mine this morning, and she said, are you working on anything just for you, where you want to make it even if you never ever show it to somebody? And I said, yeah, I'm working on an audio drama. But I remembered that I haven't worked on it since January. And I know this because of my spreadsheet. So I need to remember that that's a start and a finish. And even if I make it, and even if it sucks, I will have made it. And I know that. I had a dream that just kind of I was obsessed with in making it into a story. And that's what I remembered, that a big part of dreams is emotions. And you will feel emotions even if what you're dreaming about may not represent those emotions in your waking time. Brains are weird. And so I never was able to write it with the intense emotion I woke up feeling. And I workshopped it. It wasn't a good story. But I got it done, and I got it out of my head. So that was a positive. So it really doesn't matter if you make something and it falls flat. Even if you're at a later part of your career and you feel like everybody expects you to make things that just fly immediately. So yeah, I'm working on that. Prioritizing still. Need to get a template for my D20 productivity plan. By the way, I did get an email from someone who did not know what a D20 was, so I apologize for that. D20 is a 20-sided die. I don't think I have one here. Do I? No. I usually have one around. I just washed 2 of them in the laundry. Good clean dice. Anyway, it's the dice you find in role-playing games. Mostly Dungeons & Dragons will use the 20-sider, the 12-sider, 2 10-siders, an 8, a 6, and a 4. I think that's it. Yeah. We were just finishing the discussion on the feeling of making something and having no one care. And how that can hit you, because it's not the usual fear of what if I write something and it sucks. It's that you can write something perfectly wonderful, but no one notices. And that is something I've learned. I'm telling myself to make myself stop writing. And I'm just like, my brain's doing cartwheels to try to figure out a way to give me self-doubt. And it doesn't really need to. So we've been covering that. And really, it just has to do with prioritizing and doing the work. I find that the little bully monkey mind thing will kind of shut up when you work. It will do everything it will to stop you from working. But once you're sitting down and you're doing the work, it kind of goes into the background because you're not giving it the brain cycles that it needs. You ever worry about doing something so much and you worry for hours or days, and then when you finally get yourself to do it, it takes 20 minutes. It's kind of like that. So work is the way to fix that. I said I was doing the Finding Water Artist Way thing. And one of the first things she talks about in the first chapter is when you're waiting. And this goes for all of you who are waiting on editors to come back to you with acceptances or rejections. The one way to stop about worrying about that is to work on something else. And I know some people out there have their pet project that they just can't imagine working on anything else until this amazing project sells. And my advice is definitely move on. But I know it's hard. So my second piece of advice is send it in somewhere and then work on something new. You can't work on your baby because your baby's already out. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. And I think I'm going to close up here. What I do is I close up the recorded part of the podcast, and then we carry on with what I'm just calling BarCon, where we keep talking about writing and stuff, but on a more relaxed way and much more interaction with chat. So thank you for listening or watching. I should be writing. If you want to get in touch with me, mightymur@gmail.com is the best way to do so. I'm on Twitter at mightymur, Twitch mightymur. if you can support the Patreon, that'd be great at Mighty Mur. Or, word of mouth is the best way to spread the word, or people find new stuff. And, if you can't support, then tell a friend. Just tell one friend. Put it on your Twitter. You may think you have 0 followers, but if somebody retweets you, then it can get bigger and bigger. And all of that helps indie podcasters like me. Yeah, I podcast live twice a week on Twitch, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday, Thursday, and drop by and get the whole experience if you can, and if not, and you want to listen to the whole experience, you can check out Patreon, where you can get all the expanded episodes and the archives. So, I'll be back on Tuesday, and I'll hopefully be scheduling some guests coming up soon, but have a wonderful weekend, and you should be writing. I Should Be Writing is available to you under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Theme music by John Emilio. Art by Numbers Ninja. Production by Summer Brooks. And hosting by Libsyn. Find all of this information and more at Murverse.com. And remember, we can't do this without you. Thanks for your support.
Well, I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who. Yeah, I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.